Good morning. My name is Wickham Avery. My pronouns are they, them. I come from the unceded lands of the Piscataway Conoy people, which is now referred to by the colonists as Maryland, outside of Washington, D.C. And I, too, am ADHD, and that was a lot, and thanks for making me follow you, Jen. I have nothing to disclose. I don't have any money. I don't get it from anybody. Here's my first typo positionality statement. Acknowledge that my standpoint comes from a privileged, educated, fat, white, queer, disabled, American, neurodivergent, and all of those things. And I work through a lens of anti-racism and abolitionism. This may be a difficult thing for some of you to take in, but know that everything I'm giving today is out of love and support for all of you beautiful people. Thank you. So that was a lot, and we are all so grateful for Jen sharing that story. Because I know that I'm so totally off script now. I know that every one of us had moments of like, that happened to me. We had moments of intense anger and all of those things. So let's just take a moment to breathe a little bit. As we talked about yesterday, breathing is really awesome because not only does it bring us more oxygen, it stimulates our vagus nerve, right, to start that down regulation. It also helps massage our lymphatic system. So deep breathing is good. I want to invite you to make contact with your body. If you are comfortable with that, great, yep, that was good. Hand on your chest. If you're even capable of that, put a hand on that belly. Sometimes that's hard for us. We don't want to really acknowledge that part of our body, but it's there, it's part of us. And if you want to close your eyes, you can. If you want to find a point to focus on, just to be present in this space, let's take a couple of nice deep breaths. Fill that hand with oxygen. Just feel it move up and down. If you want to really get that nice long exhale, imagine you're blowing through a straw. And take one more and just know that you are worthy. You are. And we oftentimes don't feel like it, but we are. Thank you for doing that with me. I put this poll up in Whova, and a lot of you noticed it. I haven't posted the results yet because I want to give everybody a chance to do it. The word that comes up the most in the word cloud is lazy. We know that in the world, that's what people often automatically think about us when they see us, before they meet us, before anything. They see our body and begin to make assumptions about our worth, about our health, about our status, about our socioeconomic place, and about our motivation and our work ethic, about our cleanliness, all of those things. We know that, we feel that. So I don't think I need to explain to anybody in the room what fatphobia is. I know that's a charged word. I know even just the word fat brings up emotions and guards for people, and that's one of the reasons that I use it, very much like the queer community has taken back words like queer and gay. I also choose to take back the word fat. In the same way that I am tall, I am fat. It is not a judgment. It is just a thing about me. So obviously, the definition here, the implicit and explicit bias of overweight individuals that is rooted in a sense of blame and presumed moral failing. I think that's a really great part of the definition. That we are presumed to have some sort of moral failing. because we can't control what we eat, because we can't get up off the couch. Sorry, that got really small. Some research has shown that children as young as 4 years old have said they don't want to be friends with a fat child. And of course, we know very well, other research has found that more than half of doctors describe their fat patients as ugly, awkward, and that big one that I know gets me all the time is non-compliant. Every time I read one of those medical reports and it's like, patient is non-compliant and will not, do any kind of dieting. It's like, would you like to see my life history and how many diets I've been on in my life? We've all been there. And the thing is, when someone says, I want to lose weight, it's not so much about being skinny. It's about being accepted. It's about fitting in, feeling attractive, letting other people be proud of you, to be healthy and to be confident. And we've all had that experience where we've got a skinny friend who says, I feel so fat today. And you're just like, okay. So frustrating. And we live in this diet culture, which is now really successfully rebranded itself into the wellness culture. And we know that it's a huge industry that makes a lot of money off of us. If we all sat down and calculated the amount of money we've spent on Weight Watchers, on the books on the keto diet and the Atkins diet and all of those things and all of the equipment that we've bought, it's overwhelming. And I love, pardon the French on her handle of the fuck it diet. Caroline Dooner says, dieting makes you believe that if you just get small enough, you'll finally be worthy to take up space. But I want to remind you that you are worthy right now. Yeah. Because we know that thin doesn't equal health. The only thing anyone can diagnose is a quote from Marilyn Wen, who is a big fat activist, and I recommend you looking at her books and her Instagram. The only thing anyone can diagnose by looking at a fat person is their own level of weight prejudice. That's all it says. If someone makes fun of you for being fat, that's them. It's not you. It's them. And if you see someone talking about fat liberation, this is from Alexis Coniston, another really good person to follow at the Anti-Diet Plan. If you see someone talking about fat liberation and your first thought is, but it's unhealthy to be fat, you're actually implying that it is okay to oppress someone if they aren't healthy. Because health doesn't equal worth. We all have a chronic disease that makes us unhealthy, but it doesn't take away our worth to be respected. You are worthy. And sometimes that's hard to remember. Listening to Jen's story, we have that. We know that depression. We know those feelings of self-worth just vanishing. But we are. So the really tricky part, we know that we shouldn't treat other people poorly, that we should respect them and give them support. The problem is doing the same thing. Oh, God, I forget about this. So sorry. I'm an actor. I talk with my hands a lot, and I touch my body a lot, and I'm just going to make noise. The problem is this internal fat phobia, where we wouldn't say anything bad about anybody else. We would never make fun of someone else for being fat. And then we'll turn around and look in the mirror and go, oh. We'll see a picture of us come up on Facebook and go, oh, God, I have to untag myself. Right? It's heartbreaking. So we avoid getting in pictures. You steer clear of mirror. I didn't look in the mirror for like 4 years except to brush my teeth because I couldn't stand what I was looking at. You shun any kind of form-fitting clothing or wearing anything that makes you feel sexy because you don't want people to stare at you, except that you want to be recognized as a person. You shame yourself for the things that you ate. You have your categories of good foods and bad foods, and you have a piece of cake, and then you might feel shame while you're eating it if someone sees you. You might feel shame after you eat it because you know you shouldn't have, because everything tells you from that diet culture and that wellness culture that you are bad for eating it. You're not. It's just food. Food doesn't have a judgment. And sometimes even talking yourself out of something that you really want to do, but you're just worried about people seeing you, about people making fun of you, about them judging you. And so you stop doing things. So that's what our internal fat phobia is. We listen to that silly voice that's in our head that tells us we're not worthy. But we can actually control it. You can rewire your brain. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm still processing through it. But gosh, it's allowing me to stand up here in front of all of you and be recorded into history or whatever, which, I wouldn't necessarily be able to do. Your brain is really cool, and it will adapt as you feed it new information. It goes, oh, okay, that body is an awesome body. And don't try to do all these things at once. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to sometimes feel terrible, and you need to eat some ice cream and stay in bed, and that's okay. But just remember that you are worthy. So one of the first, I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I am a professor of film and theater and barely do that anymore because can't stand up for that long. But notice that self-talk. Notice what you say about yourself when you see yourself, when you're putting on your clothes and you feel the tightness as you struggle with your compression stockings and curse everything about it. You don't have to then shame yourself for having that shameful thought. Just notice it. Just be like, that was my little voice coming out telling me that I'm no good. I wonder why that happened. Is it as a result from something a family member said when you were a kid? And ask yourself if that's really what you think. If that's really would you say that to somebody else? Does that actually match your values and beliefs? Because most of the time it's not. And then reject it. You just tell it to go away. Choose love, choose praise. Just send it away. I know I'm making it sound so easy. The first step is just noticing it. Just notice when you do it. Then start to tell yourself, I don't have to do that so much. The second thing you can do is to get to know your body. I know we as people of size or fat people who also have this chronic illness have a real complicated relationship with our body. It hurts us. It keeps us from doing the things we want to do. And it's hard to love our body. You don't have to love your body. I know a lot of times everybody's like, no, you have to love yourself. You don't have to. You can be frustrated with it, but at the same time, recognize the things that it is doing. Recognize that it's still continuing to breathe and pump your heart and let that heart love the people in your life, and your brain is still, we have so many good things that our body is doing for us. Maybe you're an artist and your body makes artwork. Maybe you're a cook and you make food that, nourishes your family. You are worthy, and your body can still do things that is important. Even if you can't do anything else, there are still those things that are happening that make it worthy. So inventory that. Even if you have to find a new thing every day, make a list, write it down, post it on Facebook, shout it from the rooftops, remind yourself. Take selfies. I know that sounds vain and sounds silly. Even if you don't show it to anybody, take your picture. Take a couple, find your good angles, get some good lighting, put on a little filter and make your eyelashes really long. That's what I like to do. I want my eyelashes to go out to here. And I don't like to wear false ones, so the filters are great. If you can move in a way that makes you happy, even if it's just like sitting in your chair and like bumping along to a song in the car or whatever, like that's still movement. That is still appreciating it, and that is finding joy. Just remind yourself of that good stuff. I want to recommend that you quit the diet talk. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't try to lose weight. I know a lot of us are on really specific eating plans because of our health that make us feel good. You know, that's okay. But the language that comes with that shaming language of, oh, I'm being so bad eating this ice cream. Like, get rid of that. And eventually you'll be able to stop people around you when they start saying it to you or whatever. That's a big deal. That's taking a step outside of our internal fat phobia, but it's also protecting yourself. If you're in a group of people who are having that kind of conversation, and you know, we all know women have it a lot, especially straight-sized women. They like to talk about how they're being bad or they're being good, how they're feeling about their body, how fat they feel. And you can interrupt that and just be like, even if it's removing yourself, and just say, I'm sorry, this sort of conversation is filled with fat phobia and actually kind of hurts me, so I'm going to remove myself. You know? It's hard to do, but as you progress, you'll get it. Here's our patron saint, Lizzo. If you haven't seen her reality show, watch out for the big girls. It is balm for the soul. It is a celebration of fat bodies doing incredible things and feeling good about it. But just seeing more fat bodies. I started a whole Instagram account where I don't post anything, but I only follow fat people. So I can scroll through there and see pictures of women in cool outfits. I can see pictures of women that are fat hiking up a mountain, skiing, whatever. There's so many authors out there. I'm going to put together a resource that will have some clickable links, like in a Google Doc, and I'll send it out through Whova or whatever so that it's available to you. But they're like my favorite podcast, Maintenance Phase, which I know a lot of you have listened to. Aubrey Gordon, who is used to be known as your fat friend, is a fantastic writer. The podcast is hilarious, but also tears apart all of this diet industry nonsense. You know, listen to artists like Lizzo or others that celebrate that. That's how the best way to rewire your brain is if you just start seeing it as normal, then it's normal. There's nothing to be, shameful about. And the last one, probably the most important, is be unabashedly happy. Stella Young, who is, she's actually a disabled activist, but I think this quote carries over. She says, to live unapologetically in a body that you're consistently told you should be ashamed of, that alone is a political act. Be happy in it. Yeah. And thank your body for all the stuff it's doing to keep you alive. Because corporations hate it when you feel grateful, content, and proud. Do it as your act of resistance. That's how the diet culture and the diet industry makes money off of us. Because they start promoting this shame, we accept that shame and embrace it and take it on as our own, and then give them more money to continue to do it. and we can stop the cycle. It doesn't matter that our fatness isn't our fault because we have this disease. We have friends and family or whomever who are fat for other reasons. And the reasons don't matter because all of them are worthy. And we can celebrate them, no matter if they're healthy or not, no matter if they try to lose weight or not. They're all humans that we can uplift and rejoice in. So, this is actually a quote from one of my yoga training teachers. Before the pandemic, I was in the middle of a teacher training to be a yoga teacher for people in bigger bodies, which of course has got waylaid. But one of my teachers is a woman named Susanna Barkataki, and I think this says it all. You know, the body is a celebration, no matter how much it fights against us and gets bigger without our wanting it to and hurts us and whatever, we can still celebrate it for everything that it does. This is me. I welcome any contact if you want to email me, if you have questions about any of this or want some resources. Again, I'm going to try to put together resources. I'm on Instagram. That's my main social media. I'm trying to start doing the TikTok. But my husband's very against it because he's like, you know, the Chinese are going to steal all my secrets. And I was like, great. Like, they should have them. This is not limited to just the United States, right? I don't have any secrets. Yeah, and I just want to thank all of you for being here and doing that work, and know that we are now ambassadors. We are ambassadors for these diseases that we have, but we're just ambassadors for fat people, for people of size, for curvy girls, for whatever term you want to use. We have to tell the world that we are worthy. Thank you.